Hello and welcome back to another video. Today going to be discussing the 10 Ferraris that were recently confirmed as coming to the upcoming Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown title. These were shown in a trailer about a week ago now, so let's take a quick look at that and then talk a little bit about some of these exotic Italian cars that are coming to the new Test Drive game. Let's start by taking a look at the trailer itself then, and seeing what cars are actually in it. We start with the Dino there, and then immediately see the 488 Pista, which we then see out on the road. FXX-K Evo, of course, although that doesn't really make sense because it's a track-only car. We then have the Portofino, which isn't terribly exciting. An F40, of course, kind of has to be in there. Although personally I prefer the 288 GTO. Then we see some of these cars in some pretty cool looking locations around Hong Kong Island. Of course the roof going down out on the road. I suppose that is the one advantage of that Portofino. Dino out on the road. F40. 308 GTS. The Enzo coming by there. 812 super fast. Back to the FXX-K Evo on the racetrack, which kind of makes sense, that's where it should be. And we've got the Pista again, Portofino in that long tunnel across Hong Kong Island. Then we go to the garage where there's an empty space. So, down to the Ferrari dealership it is then, where we see some more of the cars there, glimpse of the Scuderia 16M in the background, but we're going for the expensive one. He's buying the 250 GTO. Not my favourite of classic Ferraris, but it is the valuable one. Then we gather all of the Ferraris together on the road. My only complaint here is that they're all red. That is slightly disappointing. I'm going to paint mine yellow, of course. And then we get a list of all 10 of the models that are confirmed in this trailer. Let's start with the 250 GTO then. One of the most iconic and valuable Ferraris of all time, seen as a DLC add-on vehicle back in Test Drive Unlimited 2. Clearly in the trailer here though, this is supposed to be the star, with its own segment at the end there, when it's purchased from the Ferrari dealership, when the owner realises there's one space left in their Ferrari collection that they can go and fill. Moving on then to the Dino 246 GTS, again one that returns from that previous title, and until recently overlooked model that was reasonably cheap in TDU2, so it'll be interesting to see if it's more expensive in Solar Crown, now that they are worth considerably more than they were back then. Next up is the 308 GTS, this of course also returning from TDU2, and just like the Dino, these are one of the more attainable models of Ferrari. Again, this is a GTS, so it's another Targa Top one, just like that Dino was. But just like the Dino, they've gone up in value since the previous title release. And this is actually the car I used for one of the categories in TDU2. I think it's the fastest in Classic 3. It's the best car to use for basically. And this stunning colour is actually one of the options in the dealership in that game, so I really hope that carries forward too. And the final classic, the F40, just as, if not more iconic than the 250 GTO we started with, and just like that car, this was a DLC add-on vehicle in TDU2. Personally, I prefer the predecessor to this car, the 288 GTO. However, out of the big 5 Ferraris, the F40 was produced in the highest volume, and has such a following that I can see why they decided to carry this forward from the previous game. So that's all the classics. Interestingly, all 4 of them are actually returning vehicles from Test Drive Unlimited 2. Now though, let's talk about some of the newer stuff. So all of the supercars are actually grouped into the same dealership as the classics, it would appear, going by the trailer anyway, which probably means there aren't enough new Ferrari models for a whole dealership like there was in TDU2, which is kind of a shame, but anyway. Arguably the first couple of cars here are actually classics now, or at least modern classics, although that's an expression that I absolutely hate, so let's count them all as new still. First up is the Enzo Ferrari, which is of course an icon, although personally I never really liked it, mostly because I don't like the way it looks. I think it's a bit odd and the proportions are a little bit wrong, but anyway, it still deserves a place as another of the Ferrari Big Five, especially to put alongside that F40 that we already have in Solar Crown. Second, we have the Scuderia 16M, the last car today that returns from the previous title in fact, and one of my favourite Ferraris in that game as well. This was the first of a series of special convertible Ferraris, the precursor to the stunning Speciale Aperta that they made on the 458 platform of course, and I think the 16M is possibly even cooler. It was done to celebrate Ferrari's World Championships in Formula 1 as a sort of special convertible version of that normal Scuderia, but such a cool thing. And in pretty small numbers these were built as well. Next we have the FXX-K Evo, which sort of takes the place of the Ferrari FXX that was in TDU2. The FXX was actually one of the exclusive club vehicles in that game. This time though, that feature has gone, so I'm guessing it's going to be purchasable in the dealership for a huge amount of money. Still a little odd to me to have a track-only model out on the streets, but I guess why not? We can do that in a game, so why shouldn't we do that in a game? Always fun to drive these sort of insane things out on the road. And then the 812 Superfast, which is kind of instead of the 599 GTB and GTO that we had in the previous game, I suppose. The latest of the front mid-engine V12 Ferrari Grand Tourers. Well, not quite the Competizione that came out based on this platform later, but still, this thing will absolutely scream, I think, especially with the sound reverberating through the city. Again, the Portofino, I suppose, kind of replaces the California in the new game. Not the most exciting Ferrari, but maybe it's good to have a lower performance new car to go alongside the others, something we can maybe purchase earlier on in the game. Or maybe it'll be like reality and we'll have to buy one of these before we're allowed to buy any of the other Ferrari models. And finally, the 488 Pista, which steps in for the 458 Italia that we had back in TDU2. Not as cool as that, of course, not as good sounding, and I don't think it's as good looking. But it is the Pista rather than the standard 488, I guess, so it should still be pretty rapid. Faster than the 458s, of course. But I would still have preferred the 458 Speciale, or even the Speciale Aperta, to go alongside that 16M. But there you go. And that is going to do it for today's video, going over the 10 Ferraris that were recently confirmed for the upcoming Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown title. As ever, do let me know what you think of the cars that you've seen in today's video, and what you're thinking about the upcoming Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown at the moment. For now though, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next one very soon.